So good morning once again. So in the continuous phase of this learning of this 5 days Atal training program, today we are having the two lab session, lab 1 and lab 2. These two lab session will be conducted by the EdGate technology. So we are having the two experts from the EdGate. The first session will be covered by Mr. Bharat R and second session will be taken by the Krishna. So I welcome Mr. Bharat. So as an introduction, I will say something about Mr. Bharat. Mr. Bharat is employed with the EdGate Technology Private Limited as an embedded system engineer. He has a 5 years of professional experience. He holds a Bachelor of Engineering degree from SCT Institute of Technology, Bangalore, Karnataka, in the Electronics and Communication Engineering. He is very passionate about the learning and the knowledge sharing. His expertise in digital signal processing, robotics, mixed signal processing, especially MSP 430, ARM Cortex M4, IoT, and the analog system. He trained over 2,000 students and the faculty. He recently conducted the training program and workshop in the several universities around the country. So I welcome Mr. Bharat R. So please continue about your hands-on expertise about the IoT design.
Sure.
Well,
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. So I just present my screen.
and I request Mr. Bharat, please go through slowly so that the
Okay.
students can do explain and they can ask the questions from you.
Okay. Okay, sir. Sure. Sure. So I hope my presentation is visible.
Yes, it's visible.
Yeah.
Can you do the
So
full screen?
okay. Yes. Okay. So I hope it is visible and clear.
It's not full screen yet.
One sec. So I've made it full screen from my side. Uh, so do let me know if it is.
Can you go into the view and do the full screen in the view? Yes, there is option of full screen. I think so. That.
Okay.
Okay, if it is visible to the participant, then they can respond yes or no.
Yes, it's
Yeah.
visible.
Okay. So actually here I've just mentioned two slides. So after that, it is completely based on the software which we are going to use. So we have to just learn these two slides, what is actually here and why I've put these slides. So these are the basic things what we have to understand before going into the programming part for this microcontroller here. So before starting off today's session, I'll just give you an overview of what the content is for the first half of today's session and the next half which will be covered. So the first half here, I'll just give you an overview of the microcontroller. This is a microcontroller from Texas Instruments. So I'll give you an overview of this and we'll see what are the pinout diagrams. So what is each and every pin working as and what are the alternate functions of each and every pin. So that once we understand this, we'll have to uh, like go through the programming and we'll be learning some basic programs on this, because here I just in the first half I want you to understand how the software works and because for the next half when we do IoT, the programmings will be a little bit lengthier. So I'll be introducing you guys to the software and basic examples on this board, and in the next half it will be completely based on IoT. Okay.
Mr. Bharat, can you just full screen because we are getting the response from participant that they are. Just press the F5 if possible. F5.
Okay. Yeah,
Can you do full screen for that?
I've made it full screen, sir.
Oh, okay. Actually, that full screen presentation is not shared. I think so that you have to again present and then you present full screen presentation.
For 1 second. Sir, now you can let me know if it is
Yes,
like
it's
full screen
visible.
or.
Yes, it's visible now. Thank you so much. Yes, Mr. Bharat, it is visible now. Hello.
Okay. Sir, is it full
Yes,
screen
yes,
now?
it is full screen now.
Okay, okay. So here I'll be covering some basic programmings on this microcontroller, which will be shown in the first half. In the next half, we'll be covering IP addressing and IoT concepts. Okay. So here we have a microcontroller from Texas Instruments. So this is the microcontroller called as Tiva C Launchpad from TI. So this is based on ARM Cortex M4F. So this microcontroller is based on ARM Cortex M4F. So this is the main microcontroller here, and we have the emulator here. So basically, I'm just giving you an overview of the launchpad and what each and every pin is configured as, because I'm not going through the architecture since we have limited time. So we have a white line here which separates the emulator part. The top part is the emulator part here, and the bottom part is called as the microcontroller part. So let me just cover what is there in the emulator part first, and then we shall go to the microcontroller part. So here we have two USBs. So first USB is the first USB here is the power USB slash ICDI. So ICDI stands for in circuit debug interface. So that is the this port is actually mainly used for power supply and debugging purpose, to upload the program, and to for the purpose of debugging we use this particular port here. And this can also be used for UART communications. So all the three things can be done using this particular port. And we have another port which is called as the device port here. So this port can be used to interface OTG. Okay, this port can be used to interface OTG, and here we have a switch which allows us to select between the debug USB and the device USB. So we cannot use these both USBs simultaneously. So here we have an option called as debug USB and device USB. So that is controlled by the switch. Okay. Then we have a small green LED here which indicates the power supply has been provided to the microcontroller. And this is also the same microcontroller which we have here, but this microcontroller is already loaded with a program which makes it to operate as an emulator. Okay, so this microcontroller operates as an emulator here. So basically we use this emulator to upload the program onto the main device, and there are certain features in the software where we can control the execution of the program, where we can include breakpoints in the program and see how data is changing in the memory. All this is supported with the help of the emulator here. And we have a reset button which resets the microcontroller. So this is the complete part which is available on the upper part of the my launch pad. So the upper part is called as the emulator part. So in the bottom part, we have our main microcontroller here. So this is the Tiva TM4C123GH6PM microcontroller. That is the series name. That is the microcontroller name. So Tiva C series is a family of microcontroller. So here, this is one of the microcontroller in that family. So TM4C123GH6PM is one of the microcontroller in the TIVA C series family. Okay, so we have an RGB LED here, so we will learn how to use that using the programming. Red, green, and blue tricolor LED available on board. Okay, so we have 40 pins available, which is booster pack enabled pins. So booster pack enabled pins here refers that uh, there are certain additional modules which you will be seeing in the second half. We'll be using an additional module with this microcontroller so that this complete device will be able to get connected to the router to access internet. Okay, so this device alone does not have Wi-Fi capability. Okay, so we'll be just give me a minute here. Just give me 1 sec. Okay. Uh, yeah. So here we have uh, these booster pack enabled pins. That is, this microcontroller does not have Wi-Fi capability on the device. So we use additional modules with this microcontroller so that the complete device, the microcontroller and the booster pack, the complete device will now act as a Wi-Fi node, or it can also act as a Wi-Fi gateway. Okay. So these pins can be used for that purpose, and we can also interface multiple sensors and actuators to these pins. So normally these pins, which what we have here, the 40 pins, they operate as general purpose input output pins. They operate as GPIO pins, but we can configure the alternate functions for these pins also. There are certain alternate functions, like we have a 12-bit ADC here, and we have pulse width modulation capability. This microcontroller can generate almost 16 PWM signals. Then we have UART support, I2C support, SPI support, and all these uh, operations can be performed using these 40 pins. Okay, so this is the complete overview of the Launchpad, and we have two user programmable switches here, switch 1 and switch 2, which is user programmable. All right, then we have two ICs here. So if you can see, there is one IC and there is a cylindrical thing available on this. So this one, the black IC, is the crystal oscillator, main oscillator. So this gives us 16 megahertz frequency. So this is an oscillator which gives us 16 megahertz frequency, and we have a cylindrical one. This is also an oscillator, but it provides us 32.768 kilohertz frequency. So this provides us 32.768 kilohertz frequency, and this provides us 16 megahertz frequency. So this is the complete overview of the Launchpad which we are going to learn today. Okay. So here, if you observe, uh, uh, each and every pin, so we have 20 pins on each side. So if you can observe here, these this row is named as J1. So the complete left row is named as J1. Okay, this one is named as J1, the column, and we have one more next to that which is named as J3. So J1 and J3, we have total 20 pins. So the 20 pins is described here. Pin number 1 to pin number 10, and pin number 21 to pin number 30. So this is the complete GPIO setup of this microcontroller. So here uh, we have to understand like how these pins are operating with multiple operations before programming. So if you can see here, uh, digital read, digital write. So here it is mentioned in green. So digital read and digital write pins are normally general purpose pins, GPIO pins, which is capable of reading digital values and which is also capable of writing digital values. Okay. So here the pins which are associated with green color, For example, you can observe here PE4, PE5, PA5, PA6. So PA or PE stands for port A, port E, port E pin number 4, port E pin number 5, port A pin number 5, port A pin number 6, and so on. Okay, so we have 6 GPIO ports from port A till port F here. So all these pins which are associated with green color normally operates as digital read and digital write pins only. Okay, it acts as digital read and digital write pins, that is normally GPIO. Then here if you observe purple color is associated with digital read, digital write, and analog write. So here analog write refers to generation of pulse width modulation signals. Okay, so we are capable of generating pulse width modulation signals here. So the pins which are mentioned in purple, so these pins are capable of performing normal GPIO operation, that is digital read and digital write. Along with that, it is also capable of generating pulse width modulation signals. So if you can observe here, PB underscore 5, PB underscore 0, PB underscore 1, PB underscore 4. So all these pins which are with purple color, they can operate as general purpose input output pins as well as analog write pins. That is, it can generate pulse width modulation signals. Then we have analog read, which is associated with blue color. So the pins which are capable of taking analog signals as an input, which is capable of reading analog signals as an input, which will be provided to the ADC. So those pins are named as A0, A1, A2, A4, A5, and so on. So here, if you can observe, for example, let me take PE underscore 3. Okay, PE underscore 3 is capable of operating as GPIO as well as it is capable of operating as analog read pins. So here, if you observe, each and every pin will almost have two or more than two functions. Okay, so here all the GPIO pins are multifunctional. It is that it can normally operate as GPIO, or there are alternate operations for each and every pin. So if you can observe here, PE3 has an alternate function of A0. That is, it is channel number 0 for analog input. Okay. Then we have SPI, UART, and I2C. So if you observe, I2C is pale yellow, yellowish. So you can see here SCL, SDA. So these are the pins which are used for I2C. SCL stands for serial clock line and SDA stands for serial data line. Okay. So if you can observe here, SCL0 is associated with PB underscores 2 and SDA0 is associated with PB underscore 3. So each and every pin will have two or more than two functions. Okay. So that is what we have to understand here. And in our first program today, we'll be writing a small basic program to blink an LED. So here we'll have to observe what is the uh, pin number which is associated with the LEDs. So these three tricolor LEDs are internally connected to the port pins. Okay. So here if you can observe port F, PF underscore 1, port F underscore 1, which is associated with red underscore LED. So here the programming which we are going to use. So we can actually mention this number, that is 30, or PF underscore 1, or red underscore LED for initialization. So we can use any of these names or numbers for the initialization purpose. Okay. So similarly for blue underscore LED, it is associated with port F pin number 2, which is also named as 40. Okay. Green LED is associated with PF3, that is port F underscore 3, which is associated with pin number 39. Okay. So here in our first program, we shall see a basic GPIO demonstration. Okay. So before that, let me introduce you guys to the software which is called as Energia. So this software is actually similar to the Arduino software. So just give me a minute here. Yeah. So here in Google, I've opened the website named as energia.nu. Okay, energia.nu. So this is the software which we are gonna learn today. So we have another software for Texas Instrument tools as well, which is called the Code Composer Studio. But since the time is limited, we cannot go for Code Composer Studio software as it is a little bit lengthy procedure. And just to give you a brief on Code Composer Studio itself, we need at least one complete day. So that is why we have opted for this software so that it is easily understandable for all the users. Okay. So here this is the complete home screen where you can basically understand what Energia is all about and why did Texas Instruments start Energia software. Okay, they have just given a brief about all these things. So if you just go to the download option, okay, so if you go to the download option, we have the latest version of the Energia software available here. That is Energia 23, aka Energia 1.8.10E23. So shortly we call this as Energia 23. So this is the latest version of the software which is available for download. So it is free for download. You can see here it is available for Mac OS, Windows as well as Linux. So there are lower versions of this software also available, that is the previous releases. So if you can go here, you can see Energia version 21 is available. Energia version 17, 18, all these is available. So here I am using Energia version 21, which is completely stable software. So I'll be using this particular software for showing the demonstrations. Okay. And there is an installation guide as well for Windows, Mac, and Linux. So if you just click on this link, you will get all the details regarding the installation. Then there is an option called as guide. So if we go to guide, they have defined each and every simple terms which are required before going into the programming part in Energia. So you can just go through this. These are basic simple definitions which is given here in the guide section. So if you just look into it, and they have also mentioned what are digital pins, analog pins, PWM pins, what is memory, sensors, what are variables, functions, basic. They have just given a basic, a brief idea about what are the complete things required to just understand Energia. So even if you are a beginner, you don't know about electronics or anything, you can get a brief idea here under the guide section. So they have given basic electronic components description also. And there are few example programs available in this. So each and every example program is defined here. What does it actually do? So everything is mentioned here in this guide section. Okay. So and then we have something called as pin maps. So pin map is what you have seen just now. That is how each and every pin is associated with a certain operation. That is, it can be a GPIO operation, or it can be a UART operation, or it can be an ADC operation, and such things, where you could see each and every pin has multiple functions. It does not have a single function, right? So here there are a number of devices from the Texas Instruments which are supported by this software. Okay, which are supported by the software. So this is one of the list uh, of devices which is supported by Energia. So you can see we have 16-bit MSP 430 microcontrollers. that is the ultra low power design. And we have 16-bit C2000 microcontrollers for motor control applications. Then we have 32-bit CC13XS devices, which is basically for Bluetooth and RF implementation. Then we have Wi-Fi bits, both onboard Wi-Fi is available for these devices. Okay, then we have 32-bit MSP432. Then this is the microcontroller which we are gonna see the demo on 32-bit TIVA C. Okay, under that we have again three microcontrollers. So the microcontroller which we are using is TM4C123 Launchpad, that is EK TM4C123GXL. So this is the name of the launchpad. So if I just click on this, so I get a small board tour video on this. And if you just go down, we get the installation drivers. So these are the drivers which has to be installed before you download Energia. Okay. Or once you download Energia, you have to download these drivers for the TIVA microcontroller. So if you are using any other microcontroller which supports the Energia software from TI, then you have to download the respective drivers for that particular microcontroller. So the drivers are available for all the three: Windows, Mac, and Linux. So we can just go here and just click on Windows, and you will be able to download and install the software. Then we have the pinout diagram, which we have just seen now. So I've just shown you the front part, and we can connect on the back side of the microcontroller as well. So it is not that pins are available on the front. The same pins which is available on the front is available on the back side of the launchpad. So both the pinout description is given here. It is the same. Whatever is there on the top, the same GPIO pins and the necessary pins are available on the bottom of the launchpad. So this is the content of the pin maps. Okay. Then we have something called as reference here. So under reference, we have all the details regarding the APIs or the functions which we are going to use for the programming. So here we have digital read, digital write, pin mode. So these are basic functions which we shall be using for the programming of this particular microcontroller. So for example, if I click on pin mode here, so here you can see they have given a description about what is pin mode actually used for. So this is the small description regarding that. We have a syntax, how we have to write pin mode uh, function in the software. What are the parameters it is being described here? What it returns. If it is returning something, it will be given something here. So here pin mode does not return anything. So here they have just mentioned it as nothing, and we have a small example code by using pin mode how we can write it. Okay. So all the details, everything is available on the Energia software. So by downloading it, by learning the basics, we have everything mentioned in the guide and the functions which is mentioned in the reference. We can easily start off with this microcontroller. So now I shall be demonstrating around 5 to 6 experiments here. So let me just stop my screen share
Yes.
for a minute.
Any question till now from the
Yeah, if
participant?
any questions, any queries, you are feel free to ask the questions. So in the meantime, I'll just open the software. Okay, so the software is open, so I'll just share the screen. Okay, so I hope my screen is visible. Uh, so this is the Energia software which we are going to be implementing in the today's sessions. So the same software will be utilized for the IoT platform as well for the IoT demonstrations. Uh, so here I'll be giving you an overview of this software and a few demonstrations on this software as well. Like I'll be showing some GPIO demonstration and how to get an output from GPIO, how to take an input, how to program for that, then how to generate pulse width modulation signals, then how to use uh, ADC, that is how to take analog inputs, how to configure the ADC module, and how to use UART. So these few things will be shown in the first part of today's session, that is the complete demonstrations on this. And in the next part, you will be seeing demonstrations on IP addressing and cloud-based communication with the microcontroller. Okay. So here we have two functions, that is void setup and void loop, if you could observe here. So void setup part is where we write number of lines of code which executes only once. So whatever number of lines I write in void setup, uh, the number of lines of code I write here. So these lines of code will execute only once. Okay, so it does not execute multiple times. Uh, and we have void loop here. So void loop is a function again which where the number of lines of program will execute continuously. It will execute infinite number of times. So we have two functions here, void loop and void setup. So void setup, we actually majorly use it for initialization purpose. So if we want to initialize a pin for a GPIO configuration, or if we want to initialize a pin for a ADC configuration. So all these initializations are done in void setup, and in the void loop part, we uh, give input, or we uh, read the output value, or we provide output, we read the input values, or do certain operations. So that things are done in the void loop part. Okay, so here once, if you would have downloaded the software, so if you just go to tools before starting on uh, like for the programming, there are few certain things, setups which has to be done initially. Okay, later on that need not be required. So once when you download the Energia software, your microcontroller will not be displayed unless and until if you have a MSP 430 controller. So that will be displayed here on the boards window. So if you go to tools option and you have an option called as boards, so here MSP 430 microcontrollers will be default available. So if you're using any other microcontroller than that, so you have to go to boards, and there is an option called as board manager. So if you just click on board manager, so here you can just type in the name of the microcontroller, and the number of microcontrollers, or the number of devices which is supported by Energia is limited. Okay, I've shown you in the website there are only limited number of devices which are supported by Energia. So here I'm using the Tiva series. So I just type in search as Tiva, and I've already installed it. So, but if you are using it for the first time, you will get an option here as install. So if you just click on that, it will automatically install the library packages for the Tiva microcontroller. Okay. So once it is done, then you can start off with your programming. So you can just go to tools, board, select the respective microcontroller. So this is the microcontroller which we are using, Launchpad TIVA C with TM4C123, which is operating at 80 megahertz frequency. So the maximum operating frequency is 80 megahertz here, and when we are using Energia, it will operate at 80 megahertz. Okay, so I'll just select that. So now let me just write in the first program here. So I'll just write in the first program, that is red LED. I'll be configuring the red LED as an output, and I will provide a high and low value continuously to the red LED. So it operates as a blink LED program. So here, to initialize a pin, we use an API called as pin mode. To initialize a pin as an input or an output, okay, so we use pin mode. Okay, so here we mention the operation of pin mode as red LED output. Okay, so here, just give me a minute. Okay, yeah. So pin mode, here I've used red LED as a name. So I told you I can use PF underscore one or the number or the name, that is red underscore LED. So here I've just configured red underscore LED as an output. Because LED is an output device, I've configured red underscore LED as an output. So I'll just write down the syntax here. Okay, pin number, pin comma, input or output or input underscore. So for the switch, for the onboard switch, we will have to configure it with input underscore pull up. So we'll have to configure it with pull up configuration. Okay. So this is the initialization part here. Okay. So this is the initialization part. So pin mode red underscore LED comma output. So I've configured the red LED as an output. So if I want, I can just write digital write. So I want to provide a digital value to the LED. So the microcontroller has to send the digital value as an output to the LED. So I'm writing a value. So digital write red underscore LED comma high. Okay. So high is the value what I'm providing, that is 1. Okay. So I'll just write the syntax here. I'll write in comma high or low. Okay. So pin number high or low. So digital write red underscore LED comma high. Then we have something called as delay. So delay is a function. We provide delay so that we can observe the change in the output clearly. So here I shall provide delay of 1 second. So delay is a function which takes the parameter in the form of milliseconds. Okay. So if I provide a parameter as 1, it will consider as 1 millisecond. So I've provided 1000 so that now we can get 1 second delay. Then again digital write red underscore LED comma low, then delay of 1 second. Okay, so I've written everything in the void setup. If you observe, all the lines of program I've written it in void setup. In void loop I've kept it empty. Okay, in void loop I've kept it empty. So if a function is completely empty, we should not delete this function. We should not delete this function. We shall be keeping it as it is. Okay. So I'll just compile the program here. So here there is an option called as verify. So which will compile the program. Okay. So compiling has been done. So I clicked on an arrow button which uploads the program onto the microcontroller. So now I'll be showing you the demo on the camera. So you can observe what happens. I shall click on reset. So you can observe red LED blinked only once, right? So I hope my camera is visible. Red LED is blinking only once. After that, it has stopped turning on. So from this, we can easily understand that whatever lines of code we write in void setup, it will execute only once. Okay. So similarly, so let me just put this code below in void loop. The same program, only initialization I've written uh, in void setup, and rest of the part of the code I've written in void loop. So now I'll just upload this. So now you can observe here, it is continuously blinking, right? The red LED is continuously blinking. So this is one of the basic demo on GPIO. So these concepts will be used for IoT. So the same LED we will be controlling using cloud. So I'm just giving you an overview of how these APIs work so that later in the next part we can show further more demonstrations on IoT concepts. So the next program or the next demonstration here will be, I will control this LED using a switch. I'll control this LED using an onboard switch. So I will configure pin mode. Okay. So pin mode, I'll configure push one as input underscore pull up. So here I'm configuring push one as input underscore pull up. Okay. So it means that I'm configuring switch one. I'm configuring switch one. So if I want to configure switch two, then I can just replace this push one by push two. Okay. So now what should I do is I have to read the status of the switch. Okay. So here I will create a variable called int data. Okay. Int data is equal to digital read of push one. Okay. So digital read is a function or an API which is used to uh, read the status of a particular pin, whatever status it may be high or it may be low. So that status to for that the status to be read, we will be using digital read. Okay. And whatever data is being read, it returns that data. So that is why we are storing it in a variable called as data. So digital read will return something. What does it return? It returns the value read from the GPIO pin. Okay. So here we are reading push one, and whatever value it reads, it will be stored in the variable called as data. So now I have to check the condition here. If data is equal to high, okay, I have to make the LED low because it is configured with pull up. Okay, because it is configured with pull up, when it is high value is obtained only when high value is obtained when the switch is not pressed. Okay, since it is a pull up configuration. Else, so delay is not required in this case. Okay, so I'm just commenting out delay. Just remove this later. Just okay. So if the data is equal to high, then the LED should become low. It means that when the switch is not pressed, we receive high value. When the switch is not pressed, we receive high value since I've configured it as pull up. So there is no pull down support in Energia. We cannot get a pull down support in Energia, so we'll configure it with pull up itself. Okay. So red LED will be low. When I press the switch, it will come to the else part. When I click on the switch, I receive, instead of high, I'll be having low value in the variable data. So low is equal to high. It is false. It will come to the else part. It will turn on the LED. I'll just upload this program. Okay. So you can observe here, the LED is off right now. So if I click on this button, the LED turns on. If I release it, LED is off. So if I hold this button here, LED turns on. Okay, you can observe here. I can configure this switch also, but in this program I've not configured switch 2. So we can configure switch 2 as well. Okay. So that was the basic demo on general purpose input output, where we were using the onboard LED. Yeah, where we were using the onboard LED, and we also used the onboard switch. So where we use switch as an input and LED as an output. So we have seen both digital read and digital write operation. So now we shall go for pulse width modulation generation. So here also I shall be using the LED itself, because I'll try to change the brightness of the LED and show you the output. So where we vary the duty cycle of the signal, that is the PWM signal. We vary the duty cycle of the PWM signal, and we are capable of varying the brightness on the onboard LED. Okay. So after that, I'll be showing a small demonstration using a potentiometer for the ADC, and later we shall try to control the brightness change using the value from the ADC. So here for pin mode, so before I want you to check, just give me a minute here. So let me open the pinout diagram. I'll tell you something. Yeah. So here, if you observe this image here, so we have uh, purple pens. As I told you previously, it supports digital read, digital write, as well as analog write. Okay, so here red LED that is associated with port F pin number 1 is mentioned with purple color. So it means that it supports digital read, digital write, as well as analog write. It means that it also is capable of uh, providing output in the form of pulse width modulation signals. Okay, red as well as blue LED and green LED. All the LEDs are capable of getting output in the form of pulse width modulation signals. So now I'll be using green underscore LED or blue underscore LED, any one of the LED, since these two both support pulse width modulation outputs. So any of the one LED we shall use, and we shall uh, check about this pulse width modulation output. Okay. So here, let me share back energy again. Okay. So here pin mode. So I shall use blue underscore LED as output. So I have to configure blue underscore LED as an output again, because here I'm initializing blue LED, but PWM configuration can be done here, but the initialization is output itself, right? The initialization will be output itself. So I've configured blue underscore LED as an output here. Then uh, in the void loop, I'm gonna use a temporary variable, that is int I. Okay, so I want to change the duty cycle continuously. I don't want to give the value again and again here. So I'll just create an temporary variable which is named as I. Okay, the data type is integer. So here I'll use a for loop for I equals 0, I less than 255. I'll tell you why 255. Okay, I plus I equals to I plus 10. So I'll be incrementing the I value by 10 every time. And here I shall write analog write blue underscore LED comma I. So I will be providing the value I for the blue LED. So here the syntax is analog write n comma value. So I can provide any value which ranges from 0 to 255, because here the value will be considered only 8-bit value will be considered. Okay, it will consider only 8-bit value maximum. So 2 power 8 we can provide 0 to 255. That is 2 power 8 is 256. The value can be provided from 0 to 255. Okay, so that is why I have given the range here 255. Okay. I shall give some delay here so that we can observe the change in the output. So I'll give some delay of 300 so that we can observe the change in the brightness clearly. So this is the basic simple program for pulse width modulation generation, okay, using analog write. So let me just upload this. So turn on the camera here. So I've just clicked on reset. So if you can observe here, the small change in the brightness, right? So just observe there is small change in the brightness. Okay. So similarly, now we shall implement ADC as well. Okay. So after that, we shall combine this. We shall control the brightness of the LED using the potentiometer values. So I shall delete these. Let this be here. So pin mode, I want to configure the ADC now. So I shall use channel 0, that is A0. A0 as input. So I have to configure A0 as input. So A0 stands for analog channel 0. A0 stands for analog channel 0. Okay, analog channel 0. So I'm configuring channel 0 as input. So we'll be taking an input from the potentiometer and we shall uh, put the output on the serial monitor. So before that, I guess I shall first teach you UART, then come back to ADC, because we shall be printing the values on the serial monitor. So we shall first complete UART module, then we shall come back to the ADC. So for UART, we have to initialize the UART module using serial.begin. Okay, serial.begin is a function which will initialize the UART with the standard baud rates. So you can use any of the standard baud rates. So here, the standard baud rate which I'm going to use is 9600. So serial is actually a class. So under this class, we have certain members of the class. So begin is also one of the member of the class. Okay. So what begin does is it will initialize the UART module with 9600 as its baud rate. So serial is a class. Serial dot begin will initialize UART module 0 with 9600 as baud rate. So this is what serial dot begin will do. So here in the TIVA microcontroller, we have 8 UART modules. We have 8 UART modules in this particular microcontroller. So we are using UART module 0, that is serial dot begin. So if we want to use UART module 1, so there are certain pins which is associated with module 1, module 2, module 3 and so on. So if I want to use module 1, I can just type in serial 1 dot begin. So this will initialize module 1. So if I want to use module 2, then serial 2 dot begin and so on. Okay. So here I've initialized UART module 0. So if I initialize module 0, as I told you when I was doing the board description, module 0 utilizes this port, the port which we are using for uploading the program. So it uses the same port for sending the data to the PC. So what I'm going to implement here is that the data from the microcontroller has to be sent to the PC continuously. Okay. So here, print the data on the serial monitor. I will use serial.print. It is as simple as that. Serial.print will print the data on the serial monitor. So here I can type in anything. So I'll just type in hello world. Data sent from TIVA. Hello world, data sent from TIVA. So this is the message. Why am I writing data sent from TIVA is the program is uploaded onto the microcontroller, and this data is sent from the microcontroller to the PC, and we will be checking it on the PC. So that is the reason. And I shall give some delay of say 1 second to print the data on the serial monitor. All right. So this is the basic experiment on or basic lab on UART. So here you can observe the data gets printed just next to each other. So I'm uploading the program. Okay, so uploading has been done. So let me just share the serial monitor here. So you can see here, hello world data sent from Tima. It is just printing next to each other. It is just printing the data next to each other, right? So it is not going to a new line. So to go to a new line, what we can do here, we can just add in slash n here. We can just add in slash n here, or we can just type in print ln here. Okay, we can just type in print ln here, upload this. Okay, open the serial monitor. You can see data gets printed on the next line now. So I hope you are able to observe data is getting printed on the next line. So here the data is being sent from the microcontroller to the PC, and we are able to see it on the serial monitor. Okay, so there is a software called as Teraterm as well, so that you can observe there also. So it should not confuse you that the data is directly getting printed on the serial monitor of Energia. So it will get printed here as well. Just select the COM. So you can see here. Hello world, data sent from Tiva microcontroller. Okay, so this gets printed on the serial monitor. Okay. So similarly now, now what I have to do is I have to read data from the serial monitor. Okay, I have to read the data from the PC and send it to the microcontroller. So in the microcontroller, I cannot actually check into the memory using this particular software. So what I'm going to do, I'll read it. The microcontroller will read the data, and whatever data it is read, it will store it in the memory and send the same data again back to the PC. Okay, so we will try to implement this. So by using, so I'll just format it. Okay, hello user. I'll just type in, enter the data. Okay, so I'll just type in enter the data. So after that, if serial dot available, so this will check if there is any data. So this will check if there is any data available from the PC. Okay, if PC is trying to send any data to the microcontroller. So if there is any data being sent, or if PC is trying to send some data to the microcontroller, then it will enter this if condition, and we can just type here char a char of data is equal to serial dot read that data. So if there is some data available, microcontroller has to read that data and store it in the it should store it in the memory, and after that serial dot print ln or serial dot print data. Serial dot print data. So this will print the data on the serial monitor. So whatever data I input, so that data will be read by the microcontroller. So I give an input from the PC, that data will be read on the microcontroller, and it will again be sent back to the PC because I cannot check the data is available in the memory or not. So that is why I'm sending it again back to the PC. So let me open serial monitor and show you the output. Upload this. So here I have opened serial monitor. So this is getting continuously printed because I've put it in the loop. So let me just put it in the setup. So now you can see the change. So I'll just click on reset. Allow user enter the data. So whatever data I enter here, for example, I click on send. So A gets printed here. So it is not that data is taken input from here and it is getting printed here. It is taking input from here. It is going via UART to the microcontroller. The microcontroller is storing that data. Then again, it is sending back to the PC. So that is why it is getting printed here. So if I type in hi gets printed here. Okay. So this is a basic example where data is being sent from PC to microcontroller, and since I cannot check it on the controller, I am sending it again back to the PC. Okay. So for our verification, what we can do is that just to understand the data is going to the microcontroller, just to make you guys sure that data is going to the microcontroller. Okay. Instead of printing the data, what I'm going to do is if data is equal to character R, small letter R. Okay. Digital write, I will turn on the red LED. Red underscore LED. Hi. So yeah. Else if data is equal to I'll just keep it as Z. If it is Z, then turn off the LED. Red underscore LED comma low. Okay. So here I have to initialize the red LED. Let me initialize it. In mode red underscore LED comma output. Okay. So now I'll just upload this program onto my device. So if I send small character R, then the red LED has to turn on. Else, if I send Z, it should turn off. So let's see what is going to happen. Okay. Sorry, I didn't share the screen. Okay, so if here I have the data which is being sent, so I'll turn on the camera as well. Okay, so coming back to the serial monitor here. So here I'm just typing in small case R. Okay, so you can observe, I'll just click on enter. It will not get printed on the serial monitor because I have not used serial.print, but I have just used red LED turn on. So you can see I sent small case R, red LED turned on here. So I'll send small case Z. Okay, LED turned off. Okay, if I send capital R, you can see it is not turning on because I have sent capital uppercase R. I have to send lowercase r for turning on the LED. Okay, send Z, it will turn off. So from this we can understand that the data is reaching the microcontroller. Okay, and since we cannot check the data, onto the memory, we are just like sending it again back to the PC, and we are looking the output onto the PC. Okay. So now we have ADC, which is left out. So we shall complete ADC, and we can close our session, the first half today here. And in the next part, we shall completely be looking into the IoT demonstrations. That is the how to acquire an IP address for this particular device. What is the IP address of the gateway, and what is the subnet mask, and which class. So just to identify which class of IP address it belongs to, we shall try to print the subnet mask ID. Then we have how to connect the Blink cloud server to this microcontroller, and how to implement basic applications on that. So we shall see that as well in the next half of today's session. Okay. So let us just implement ADC module. Okay, so for that, red LED is required. Okay, serial begin is also required. So here I'll just use in green underscore LED as output. Then pin mode. Pin mode, I'll configure A0, okay, A0 as input, analog channel 0 as input. So here I will read the data on the analog channel 0. So similar to digital read, I have to use an API that is called as analog read. So previously we were reading digital values from the switch. So from the analog channel 0, we will read analog values. So analog read, as simple as that. So we will be reading data using analog read, and we shall print it on the serial monitor, serial.println data, and we shall give some delay. So whatever analog values we read, it will get converted into digital values. So we get data on the serial monitor again. So I shall connect the potentiometer here. Okay. Uploading the program onto the device. So if you can observe here, there are some values which is getting printed on the serial monitor, right? So you can observe here. So I have connected the potentiometer with the microcontroller. So by varying the potentiometer, I vary the potentiometer. So values are increasing. Okay, so the maximum is 4095 is what we get, since it is a 12-bit ADC. Okay, so I'm reducing the potentiometer here. The value reduces. So if I increase it, the value increases. So this is the basic demonstration on ADC. Okay. So similarly, now we shall try to vary the brightness of the PWM signal using the potentiometer, and then we can just wind off our session today here. So the next half will be continued by Mr. Krishna at 12 o'clock. So here I've configured, I need not require UART, because I'll be providing values directly to the ADC module. Sorry, the LED. Okay, green LED here. So Analog data read, I'll be reading the data from A0. Then what I am going to do here is that I am going to map the value. Map is an instruction. I just name the variable as PWM. Map is a function which maps the value. So 0 to 4095 has to get mapped to 0 to 255. So this is what the map function does. The range 0 to 4095 will be mapped to 0 to 255. Okay, so it will be reduced to 0 to 255 value. Okay. Let me just So this is what I have to do here, and after that this value is stored in data, so I have to mention this also. So after this, now what I have to do, I have to use a for loop. Let me just create a temporary variable here in I, or I have it stored in PWM, right? So here analog write, I have to write here green LED, green underscore LED comma PWM. The value of the PWM will be updated here, and some delay of, let's say, 300. So with this I'll be able to control the brightness of the LED using the potentiometer. Let me just connect. So let me just display you the output here. So you can see that connected the potentiometer. So slowly I'll try to vary the pot. You can see the brightness is increasing. Okay. So I'm trying to vary the pot. So let me just show it on the table so it will be clear. So I hope my microcontroller is visible. Okay. So I'll vary the pot and the brightness changes. So I hope it is visible here. So please do let me know. So you can see the change in the brightness of the LED. I'm varying the pot here simultaneously. So by varying the potentiometer, I'm changing the brightness. Okay. So these are the few demonstrations for the first half of today's session. So in the next half, we shall see some demonstrations on IoT as well. So if you have any questions or any thing to clarify, you are free to ask questions.
Mr. Bharat, can we control the big applications that we use in the normal life, just like tube light, the AC,
Yes, we can
freeze rating.
control the tube light. Yes, it is possible with the help of a relay.
Okay. So for
Yes,
the relay
when we use,
interface, we use some sort of the module for that one, or we can directly connect the relay.
no, we can directly connect the relay for this device, and we can control the external appliances.
Okay. Because there is a lot of relays are actually available. So we should go for the solid state relay or something else.
No, we can go for the normal relay which is available. So we get a package. It depends on the number of devices which we want to get connected.
Okay. So there is a one question from the participant. Nikita, can
Okay.
you please unmute yourself and then can you ask the question?
Yes, sir. Sir, I just want to ask, does it have any application towards, I mean, in the as a chemistry point of view? I mean, what can we have the usage of this?
Uh, in chemistry point of view, in the sense like,
I mean,
can
in the
you?
structure, yeah. How do we calculate? I mean, can we calculate any structure or can we calculate any energy or have a
Uh,
practical?
Actually, it depends on the programming part what we try to
Yeah, so
implement. So
can we create a program like we have protein structure model also in there also we create a program. So can we use in that?
so that actually I'm not aware of this protein structure modeling and
Okay, okay,
stuff, but the it depends on the kind of programming we actually do and what are the things we are trying to
okay,
implement.
okay, okay, okay,
Yeah,
okay. Thank you so much.
thank you.
I think that Mr. Bharat, you can share your email ID so that our participant
Hello.
can contact you in the future.
Yes.
Yes, Mr. Devendra Singh, you can ask the
Yeah. Yeah. Hello.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Thank you for giving such a nice presentation, sir. Sir, one
Yes.
my doubt is that there are so many other platforms like
Yes.
Raspberry, Arduino, and other platforms are there
Correct.
for
Correct.
IoT applications.
Correct.
And you have given your presentation about this particular
Mm.
platform. Okay.
Yes.
जो आपका
Yes.
Tiva C series and all. So how it
Yes.
is means it is very much costlier as compared to other platforms.
Yes.
So why we go for this particular Tiva C
Uh,
series?
Okay, so the basic thing what we have to understand here is the number of peripherals that is provided on the Tiva C is completely uh, like it is very much high compared to your Arduino or other microcontrollers. So here we cannot compare this particular device with the Raspberry Pi, as Raspberry Pi completely deals with the processor part. So it is completely considered as a processor. So when you compare this with Arduino or any other microcontrollers, so here the number of peripherals what we get is high, depending on your Arduino or anything. So maybe in Arduino we have only, I'm not much aware of that, but we have only two UART modules or such thing. But here we have 8 UART modules which can simultaneously be utilized. So based on the application, based on the number of peripheral requirement, that is how we have to select this particular microcontroller.
Yeah, definitely, sir. There is another limitation with this that we don't have the onboard Wi-Fi facility. So we have
Yes,
to incorporate the booster pack also with this, I think.
correct,
Then only
correct,
it
correct.
is, yeah.
Yes,
So,
this is
yes.
completely actually based on embedded platforms. So when we are going into IoT, there are different devices which have onboard Wi-Fi capabilities, so we can go for that as well.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you.
Yeah.
So any other question?
Just type in my email for the
Yeah.
queries.
Sure.
I've just typed in on the chat box. So if any further queries, you can just put a mail. for that.
So any question from participant side? Please unmute yourself and then you ask the question. Okay, if there is no question, I would like to give thanks to Mr. Bharat from starting from the scratch. You have given the in-out details of the microcontroller. You also shown that
Thank you,
how
sir.
to use the Energia software, and you have also explained the configuration and the interfacing of the microcontroller with the Energia software. You started the basic practical of the demonstration of the blinking LED. Then you demonstrated how to control any application with the input device, just like the switch. And you also demonstrated that how to vary the input how to vary the input signal, and according to it, how to control the output device. And you have also shown if you are varying the input signal continuously, then what is the effect of this input on the output devices. And at the last, you have also shown the concept of the delay, which is actually very useful in IoT device controlling. So I am very thankful for Mr. Bharat for this hands-on session. So hope that our audience or participants have taken the advantage of this one. And still, if you are having some problem in this Arduino or any IoT device related, so you can just take the email ID of Mr. Bharat. One more lab session will be is in continuation with the this one. So the next session will be taken by Mr. Krishna from the AdGate company. So he will talk about some networking issues of IoT devices, and he will give some practical demonstration for that one. So thank you once again, Mr. Bharat.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
We are sharing the feedback and attendance. Don't worry. Just wait for 2 minutes.